is to have an idea of what you think is influencing. What does it mean for you to be a person of influence? What do you have to become to now influence people? It's not about what you have to do, because the doer has to be a being of that deed. You have to be a being that does that. You can only bark like a dog. It doesn't make you a dog. There are people in management positions who are just managers, not because they have the capabilities that is inherent to them in managing. They are typing themselves to certain standards. This is why when a situation that requires something outside the books, something that you cannot find in a textbook, present themselves, they disappear. They begin to avoid decision making. Meanwhile, a person who has grown themselves into that role will take a decision like this. It might be difficult, it might be a stern, it might be a hard decision, but they will take it. Some people, because they have learned that a manager has to take a decision, they go ahead and take a decision that they think is appropriate to the situation based on their learnings. After they have read some books on management, read different types of authors, and they begin to pour in that light, they are not really into that role. They are forcing themselves trying to do the role. It is not about doing the role, it's about being the role. When you become the role, then you can do the role. And then you can get the consequences of doing the role. That is what we've been teaching about be, do, have. Now, a lot of the times, people want to become something on the basis of their haves that they have seen on the doers. The haves attract them, and then they want to get that have. They are focusing on that have, and they miss the mark. They become something else, something that is very, very, very hideous. That is what they become. The first step is to focus on being. This is where the idea of resonance now plays a role. As a human being that runs a mental system, it is what you align your interest with. It is what you have a sympathy alignment with that you become. So if you have a sympathy alignment with leadership, true leadership that inspires growth, that inspires productivity, that inspires cohesion, you will find yourself manifesting it. And what are the best ways to achieve resonance? Let's look at it from this angle. What I intend to be, I know, based on my imaging of that role. But how I can become it, I hardly know. I can only but try. If that is your mentality, if that is your story, your self-story, that's fantastic. And then you go ahead and say, I am open to being this role. I am open to being this entity. How I will get there, I am open to it. Okay? And then I invite help. I invite opportunities and doors opening to me to become this. Then that is also okay. That is affirmation, that is declaration. For anybody to actually think that a human being can attain anything outside a conscious impregnation of the will upon that person's environment, that person is joking. Your will has to impregnate your environment, has to impregnate your space for you to be able to produce. And what you are producing is what you have imagined, what you have thought right on your inside. This is where lectures come. Lectures, seminars will give you a clear and distinct picture of what you can become, of certain roles And those pictures they are giving you are based on how others have done it. It's just a critical presentation. A critical presentation simply means that they have analyzed it and they've seen it work in so many situations. They've seen it work in these managers. Therefore, it will work for you. But you see what? The human being is not an ape. If such a thing were actually being done to apes, maybe it might work. But we are talking about human beings where the environment is constantly changing, where mutability is the law. It's not going to go far. A human being is not designed to be an ape. It's not designed to ape anything. A human being is designed to produce what it has become. Therefore, when we teach the value of meditation, when we teach the value of introspection, when we teach the value of self-discipline, we are not wasting our time, because these are the things that will eventually create that reality. Somebody was asking me, said, what is the value of meditation really? I told this person, I said, I know that meditation can slow down time in a moment of emergency. I'm talking about an experience that I have recorded. In your response to adverse situations, as in the case of anger and everything, if you meditate regularly, you realize that before you get angry, you will see that there is a gap between you and the sensation of that anger. That gap will exist. You will see it. You will see yourself, you will see the anger, and you know that this is not you, and you will pull back. Sometimes, as a learner, you might be excited by the event that instigated the anger to such a point that you are powerless and you will want to pick up then and say the anger is justified. But over time, you get to realize that there is no anger that is justifiable. Like Wayne Dyer said, God bless his memory, God bless him. He said that resentment has no justification. There is nothing in the world that justifies resentment. Same way, nothing in the world justifies the expression of anger, of rage. Nothing. Because the byproduct of them is that you become the consequences of the anger, of the rage, of all of these things. So, know that there is a gap between you and these things, and be distinctive. The environment might be harsh, the circumstances might be negative, but you see what? You are not a product of that environment, being human. Plants, animals can be direct product of their physical environment because they can't change those things. But you see, as for the animals, they can actually move away to another location and their condition will change. Even plants do it. I remember when we were in primary school, we were studying Phototropism, we talk about Hydrotropism. It is the movement of plants towards nourishment. In other words, even plants can change their environment by either moving physically or by using their roots to be looking for favorable environments. Okay, it's done. Birds migrate. Human beings can do the same. But this is the difference between the human beings and the animals and the plants. A human being really doesn't have to leave the physical environment to change their environment and eventually their realities. They can actually still remain in that environment and change it by simple thoughts. By putting before themselves the image of what they want to become. Over time, they become that. And that again takes me to the Bible. There's a portion in Genesis where Jacob and Laban had a business relationship. And Laban was trying to fleece Jacob. Jacob happened to be his head boy, taking care of his sheep and goats. Laban simply told him, any animal that produces solid colors, pure white, pure brown, black, are mine. Anyone that is speckled are yours. Meanwhile, while making that law, he removed the males that have speckles, that have those kind of possibilities that will give Jacob such animals. He removed them and left the solid colors, white, brown, and of course, black for Jacob. Jacob invented a situation where he created some colors, some speckled colors, and put them where the animals were drinking water and where they were mating. Because he understood that if animals focused when they are drinking water, having no reason, or when they were mating, they will be able to produce speckled, and that's what happened. Now, some people have called it a woo-woo thing, that the Bible didn't know what they were saying, but somehow, if you deny it or whatever it is, you understand that most of the time the Bible speaks on code, uses code. Jacob understood that the environment signals the genes. What the modern world knew in the 90s, Jacob already knew long ago, that the environment will signal the genes. So he created the environment that will produce for him speckled, spotted sheep and goats. And he got them. All right? Good. In the Bible, in the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 3, if you read the entire chapter, Paul, or the writer of that chapter, of that book, was talking about the difference between the Mosaic Law and the New Testament. He was saying that the law, which is the law of Moses, was so glorious that the face of Moses began to shine, and he had to put a veil on his face so that the Israelites could see him, because they could not look into the brilliance of his face, because they couldn't stand the brilliance. So he put a veil across his face, and he saw that veil as a blockade to the mental capacity of the people to see. So the people were now seeing the law. People were now seeing the possibilities of working with God through a veil. He said, but in the New Testament, in Christ, the veil is taken away. All right? I'm not giving you a foundation to what I'm going to say now. The veil is taken. He said, when it is turned unto the Lord, the veil shall be taken away. For the Lord is that Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Now, the Spirit of God creates liberty, and it is the engine, it is the power behind all the realities that human beings create, good or bad, because he has empowered us to do that. But this is what I have to see there. From the first day I read it in my teenage days, it sparked me. He said in verse 18, he said, but we all, as in a glass, beholding the glory of God, are transformed into the self-same image from glory to glory. Is that grammar? Not really, just simple explanation. You see, in the New Testament, it's saying that we can actually see the glory of God. What is that glory? The character and personality of Christ. The things that Christ taught. The human being, becoming the full-fledged human being, because Christ is a pattern human. Christ is the ideal human being, what every human being should aspire to. It is the highest expression of humanity. While humanity is the highest expression of creation, Christ is the highest expression of humanity, the Son of the Most High. He said, we can see him as if through a glass, not a veil. In the case of Moses, it was a veil that blocks it. But now it is like a glass. There is a glass that separates us from the glory, but we can see the glory clearly. Now, if you remember one of the verses of the Old Testament, it said, write the vision, make it plain upon tablets, so that those who read them will run. In this context, this image, this ideal picture of humanity is not covered with a veil or by a veil. How is it? That ideal picture is behind a glass. And that glass does not distort the image. As we look at it, as we keep looking at it, focusing our attention on it, we are transformed. You are what you see. You are what you have affinity with. The scriptures are filled with codes. A lot of hidden meanings are embedded into all of these things. Your mental circuit can only see on the basis of the lenses. The lenses of seeing in a world of bondage is a veil. You really can't see clearly. But that with which we see in a world of liberty is a glass. You see through the glass as it is. But you know what? Those who are involved in mysticism, they will explain it much deeper than I can do here. Because that idea of a pool, a troubled pool, becoming placid and becoming a glass, you look into the glass, you see a reflection of yourself as utter perfection. That's a new level entirely. But all I can say to you is that get the right picture. That's the first part. You see, we think we need certain things. We think we have to become certain things, but we have not been able to define the picture of that thing. The first thing is make the vision plain. Clarify that by, you can do that by knowledge, by acquisition of knowledge, by studying, by watching videos like this that I'm giving you right now. You know that this is where I have to end up. Therefore, create that image. Let it be very distinct, and let there be nothing competing with it for attention. You know, I did a video some other time ago about dominant desire, and I said you have to create one very dominant desire. Don't have to, just one. And I think as a human being, you have the power of synthesis. You can actually create a desire and make it superior to all other desires by defining it very well. And then you say, this is who I have chosen to become now. And then begin to visualize that person. Begin to fall in love with that person. Begin to dream with that person. And over time, you find out that people begin to see you as that person. It is what you admire that people will admire in you. I hope you got what I just said. Good. So, you have to first of all create the image of the admirable. Then admire the admirable that you have created, and you will become it. You cannot manifest what you have not become. You cannot become what you have not visualized. But this is it, how life goes. It is said that nature abhors vacuum. If you have not created an image for yourself, you know what? Nature is not waiting for you. Your environment will create an image for you and you become it. This is when you will now say, I don't like what is happening in my life. Why? Because you have refused to take action. Your refusal to take action is an action in itself. In life, inaction is action. That's as good as it gets. So it's either you are conscious, taking actions, or you are unconscious, life takes action on your behalf, and it is still you taking the action, because your unconsciousness creates the possibility of life, which is your environment now, interpreted life, taking actions on your behalf. The choice is yours. What you resonate with becomes your reality. And before you can resonate with anything, you have to connect with it. And that connection is on the basis of wavelength. You have to be on the same frequency. And how do you get into a frequency with something? Is by being aware of it. Is by seeing it, one, as important. You see something as important, you resonate with it. So if you see anger as important, you resonate with anger, you become angry. Okay? If you see love as important, you will pay attention to love, you resonate with it. If you see discipline, becoming a disciplined entity as important, you will pay attention to it. Resonance is about importance, ascription of importance, something having a deeper meaning to you than the ordinary. Then it becomes something that connects you with itself. So it's a very simple thing. So when people say, I am trying to become a better person, but I don't know, you have not taken being a better person as something that is important. You have not seen as something that has a special meaning in your life, something that has a special place. Because resonance is produced by, one, you saying that something has importance. Two, it has a special meaning in your life. That is what resonance is built out of. What resonates for you? You want to control people? If that is the thing, then wahala day. Then that will resonate with you, but there's always a fallout from everything that you have embraced. If it is not in line, it's not in sync with your life's definition, you will suffer. But if it's in sync with life definition, no matter what the challenge will be, no matter what the blows and kicks will be that comes from it, you will not be troubled because you have a vision. Vision is the key thing. It doesn't matter what your physical environment states. The physical environment could be intimate physicality, which is your physical body, your environment, physical environment, your work, your cycle of influence. All of these things are changeable once you have changed your mind. I was trying to say the other day that all the people that have transformed their world, they didn't see the physical reality to define them. They overlooked it. Look at David standing before Goliath. The people of Israel were powerless. They were like a shamed army. David did not join the Israelites to shame their army. Nigerians today join the crowd to shame the Nigerian situation. I was at the market yesterday. We were pricing some things, and the lady said, Nigeria don't spoil. The lady that was selling to me said, Nigeria don't spoil. I told her, Madam, don't say that again. She kept saying it because there was no reason I would give to her for her to change how my Nigeria don't spoil. That's her language. And another woman who came around to buy things supported her and even said that it is people like me that have helped Nigeria to be spoiled because we refuse to speak the truth. And to her, what is the truth? That Nigeria has gone bad, we should be saying it. Now, imagine a David in the Israeli camp facing an army that was so intimidating, and they were even running away from Goliath. They were running. David came in and took offense, not at his people, but at the enemy. And he looked at Goliath and said, who is this uncircumcised Philistine? You see, David was able to see element of pride. He saw what his country had above the Philistines. Which was it? He didn't see prowess because people were running away from the Philistines. What David saw was that his people were circumcised. Was circumcision able to change the situation at that time? No, but he said, who is this uncircumcised man? That became his takeoff point for power. Nigerians do not have a takeoff point for power. Rather, they have a takeoff point for weakness. They always bash their country. They see the physical environment as a basis for deteriorating their own mental environment. Please, if you want your situation to change, you must not allow the physical environment to dictate your mental environment. Let your mental environment dictate your physical environment, because it is that mental environment that changes the physical environment. If you hold the physical environment in your mental environment will perpetuate, because it will inform your thoughts, the thought will inform your feeling, the feeling will inform your talk and your action, and eventually the reality will go on in cycles. So the truths that we need to face about Nigeria, about you have to face about yourself, is that what is out there is caused by what is in here. Change what is in here, what your cells say, and you can change the rest. Just as God was able to change his environment by creation, and creation is imposing, inserting your will, your intention into space, do the same for yourself. It always works. It only takes time. Focus your attention and it will happen. It is about resonating with the dream. So what is your dream? Have you created one, or are you sticking to the dream that was created by you, by your environment, by your family, by your bed? That is the question, and I do not have an answer for it. I still very much believe in you. I know that the power to make massive change rests in you. Take your eyes away from the physical and focus on the internal, the mental. That is where the power lies.